So guys, here we are for part 2. Now we're going to look at some endings for some of your pieces. Now, not too dissimilar from introductions or fills really, but endings, you want to have that kind of finality, which obviously means it's the end of the piece. So, the most important thing is to have a good ending chord. Now, the chord that I normally use to end most of my bluesy and boogie woogie pieces tends to be this one. It's kind of gives that really nice bluesy finish to a tune. So you've got again, I tend to use in the left hand for this C, G, and C, just on an octave, and then in the right hand I would play an E, a G, a B flat, and a D on the top. So it's just that lovely, beautiful, warm sound that you get on this chord. And often, before we get to that chord, we'll play a different chord which is a bit dissonant, and that's this one. So you have C sharp, G sharp, and C sharp in the left hand, and then in the right hand you have F, B, and D sharp. So it all sounds a bit strange. Then you can go from that to the first chord that we talked about. And that's a lovely end to a piece. So you might want to go around one of your introductions, but then just put that chord at the end and it becomes an ending. So if we look at the shuffle ending, alright, you get that lovely end. You might say, oh, well, that shuffle ending sounds a bit like the shuffle intro, and that's right, it is, except that you end on those chords, which gives it the end, rather than going to the G7, because obviously you go. When you hear that G, it makes you want to continue, but when you take it to the C at the end, it makes you feel like you've ended. Okay, so that's a shuffle ending. And you can use that for pretty much any of them. It just comes down to the rhythm. So if you were doing a shuffle, alright, it works for that as well. Sometimes you might not want to end like that. For a slow blues, for instance, you might like to go. Now, I find when you're in the key of C, lovely notes to hit on the way up the piano are actually the notes from the chord of D. Don't ask me why this works, but when you're playing the C chord at the end, D and A work really nicely to just head up the piano, and that kind of fades out the piece in a different way to, rather than going and ending it, you can just go. Play a C major chord at the end, or adds up to a C major 7, and then just walk up the piano on D and A, and it sounds lovely. Okay, so there's a couple of ideas for some endings there for you guys. Hopefully they're helpful. They're not, I mean, you can use introductions and endings pretty much as you will, but the main difference is that generally with an introduction you take it to the G at the end, and on an ending you take it to a C chord. That funny chord that I showed you a second ago. Okay, so guys, hopefully that's helpful. Stay tuned for the next lesson, which is going to be on some advanced right hand riffs. Okay, so lots coming up. See you there.